Ashton, are you ready for the review of Captain Marvel?
I'm not here to start a new review. I'm here to end all reviews.
I like it. Let's show them boys how we do it.
Man, I feel like a woman.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Higher, further, faster, baby.
That's right.
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
Hey Screen Watcher, welcome back to another Double Take review, where we give you our 2-take double dose injection of pop culture criticism, because that's what the doctor ordered. Just as a heads up, first half of the show will be spoiler free for your convenience, at which point we'll be swinging into spoiler territory where we put a big warning on the screen, just to let you know, all courtesy of our in-house spoiler Flarkins.
Without further ado, Alex, what did you think of the movie?
Captain Marvel. Well, let's just start out. I happen to have a little list here.
Okay. I didn't know you had a list.
Yeah, it's just a little something I came up with.
Okay.
Some of the most endearing and powerful female characters in film.
Okay. I was afraid of this, but okay. Let's go.
Ellen Ripley, Trinity, Princess Leia, The Bride,
Okay.
Sarah Connor, Diana Prince, Medea. That's pretty much it. Moving on. Cue the spoiler Flarkin. Oh, is that a little too soon, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay, well, maybe we should properly talk
Okay,
about
what did you think of the movie?
I thought this movie was a piece of shit.
Oh, wow.
I really did not like it.
That's
And
strong
here's
feelings.
why. I also brought a visual aid.
Okay. Okay.
You'll
Oh,
have to-
this is different.
You have to humor me here.
Okay.
So you might have to talk a little bit while I do this.
Well, sure. Yeah, I gotta say I love this movie. I
my
thought
God.
this was one of the better Marvel movies. I was engaged throughout. I thought the story was really nice. It flowed really well. All the things that I wanted to know wasn't a movie. There were some things that I didn't know I wanted to know, but I was very glad to see it. So yeah. Why didn't you like it?
Well, right here, I'm hoping that's coming in. This is a graph of how a normal movie is supposed to go. You have your character right here, and for the most part, their life has been going normal. They figured out how to make it work. And then something happens, they meet somebody or something that brings them higher up into like learning what they're eventually going to learn, and then everything goes to shit, and they're here at the bottom. And then they have to learn something about themselves and get up here at the top.
Okay.
This starts way up here at the beginning of the movie, never having a character arc, never having any weaknesses. She's uber powerful, strong from the very beginning, and then she just is on the same course through the entire movie, all the way across. She has no personality, an incredible RBF for the whole 2 hours and 20 minutes of the movie, and she just is not an interesting character, and I was thinking about it a lot, primarily because she doesn't show any weakness.
Okay. I think one thing that I promised myself not to do was if someone doesn't like a movie, I think it has become the common norm. If someone doesn't like a movie that you like, for example, with Black Panther, people who didn't like Black Panther were like immediately labeled as racist, as insensitive. So like with this movie, I know a lot of people are called trolls for not liking it. I don't think that's appropriate. There are things in the movie that I would understand if other people don't like. For example, the way the story starts, as you said, Captain Marvel character comes in really strong with powers. But I actually thought it was a really nice change of pace as opposed to starting a movie from origins and then moving forward. It started in the middle and then we went back and found out what happened and how she got her powers.
I guess before we go into this, like, what makes her an endearing character?
I thought through the flashbacks, we found out that she was always struggling to prove herself because she was a girl and everyone thought she was weaker. When she was going to the academy, there were flashbacks showing that like the male counterparts were making fun of her and she was not physically strong to be able to do those physically taxing exercises. But if you look at that and then look at the power that she has now, and she's struggling to hold in her emotions in check, by the end of the movie, you see that she can master it. And it's not about people telling her what to do. It's about how she learns to use the anger that she has, the frustrations that she has, without people telling her how she should channel it. She learns how to channel her emotions.
So she just... Are you sure she channels it? Because at the end, in some of this footage, it looks like she unleashes it. Like she never quite
but that's what
bottles it up.
But that's what she wants to do. That's not what other people tell her what to do. So I'm going to be honest with you. I went into the movie ready to be one of those people who are like, okay, so this is going to be another pandering movie. But I could relate to the story. And you know me. Like, I'm not some guy who would just go to a movie and just like immediately love it. we disagree in some movies, but in this movie I thought, again, the story made sense to me, and I actually liked the way it started, as opposed to doing a normal origin story. It started in the middle, went back to the beginning, and then we saw her, like, how she was able to become Captain Marvel. But I do understand some reservations, because there was some cheesiness with some of the characters. I thought maybe they could have been a little bit more flashed out, like the character of the friend. I thought it was just too cheesy, too soap opera-y.
She's a character, though. You word it in a way as if she's challenged at the beginning of the movie, and for the most part, I never saw that she was challenged or had weaknesses. She never once let those men tell her how to be something, and she always knew from the very beginning that she was capable of doing great things. She never once.
But she wasn't feeling like she belonged there. She thought she was just
belonged where.
When the story starts, we are in a different planet. We are on Kree. So she's part of this.
So what makes her feel like she belongs at the end of the movie? Because that's how a traditional character arc works.
She doesn't belong anywhere. She is just this superhero.
So she's strong from the beginning as she was in the end. Like nothing changed.
No. She didn't fit in as a human in her role, as she wanted to be just this great pilot. And she wasn't really getting the chance to become that. She goes to a different planet. She has some powers. But also she was being told what to do, what not to do. By the end of the movie, no one is telling her what to do. She is becoming her own. So she's not a human. She's not some person from a different planet. She is Captain Marvel.
So it's an interesting movie, because I guess before the film even came out, there was some like interviews and stuff. I guess Brie Larson pissed off like a lot of dudes or whatever, because she said something inappropriate or not cool. But like none of that like affected my opinion coming into the movie. I looked at it like when the movie ended, I was like, why don't I like it? And the reason is because I didn't care about Captain Marvel as a character. And then I thought, okay, well, why don't I like the character? She's not endearing. There's nothing about her that makes the audience get behind her.
Okay.
If you look at other examples of women superheroes or even male superheroes, like why do we like Luke Skywalker? Luke Skywalker, from the very first movie, he struggles. He's not 100% powerful. He's not super confident. He doesn't get the girl. Virtually in every way, Luke Skywalker shows weakness from that first movie to Empire Strikes Back and getting his hand chopped off, all the way to the third movie where he's getting electrocuted by the biggest badass in the galaxy. But it's because he is a strong character and he's grown through all three movies, learning something, growing, maturing. That's the stuff that makes us get behind him as a character. And then in that third movie, if we're looking at this graph here and like how a character learns something at the end and is like uber powerful at the end, having learned something internally or gained something with their mind, not necessarily with like muscles. I think like in most movies, a character becomes strong because of their mind, like something they learned internally. Okay. And so at the end of the movie, at the end of Return of the Jedi, Luke Skywalker is the most powerful Jedi because he resisted the dark side. Okay, this character did not go through any weaknesses in an entire movie.
I mean, I get that.
It's hard for me to get behind her.
I mean, you started by saying this character, like, there is nothing interesting to it. What about Black Panther? Like, I don't think
he struggles. He lost that battle with his cousin,
Well,
and
like-
so he reaches that down point, and he has to learn something about himself, and then at the end he rises above the villain.
I think
What did this character do?
I think part of the criticism that comes in, I get. I didn't think she was funny. The
No, she's
lines-
not. She's not charismatic. She has a like I said. She has an RBF the entire movie because there's no emotion. It's like a block of wood.
What
She's
is
not smiling.
What is RBF?
A resting bitch face?
Oh, okay.
She has an
okay.
incredible
I didn't
one.
know what was, but I gotta say, I get the criticism, but I think
Well,
it's-
what
it's-
makes you like this character?
because when the movie started, the movie assumed you're an adult, didn't want to spoon feed you stuff. They were like, okay, so this is where we're gonna start. Then you're gonna find out what happens, and I actually enjoyed that. I was like, okay, this is a.
No, I'm talking
breath
about
of-
character
Okay.
things about her.
If you follow,
You said she's
if
not
you-
funny.
Yeah, but if you don't have to have a charismatic character. Black Panther, I think T'Challa is not very funny. He is just
I
himself.
never freeze. He's
Yeah.
funny.
He's no Captain America. He's no Iron Man. So I think part of the criticism is unfair because, like, yeah, she's not as charismatic as funny as some of the other ones. If you notice, like, even when the Thor series started, Thor wasn't really funny. Like, they just,
What are you talking about? He's incredibly funny in that first Thor movie. Another, and he throws the cup down.
right, there were a couple of jokes, but like he wasn't cracking jokes by the third movie. Like they started,
total 100%
they
disagree.
started somewhere, and then they started just giving a little bit of more characteristics to that character. I think this is the first movie we are seeing her in. She's gonna come back in Endgame. I think as she's gonna.
This is her origin movie.
I think
so
she's
she
gonna-
has to sell us on wanting to care about her. Captain America, you care about him because as a little wimpy kid, he hops over the grenade. So right away, I think in that moment, you're like, okay, I'm behind him. Like, he can go fight the biggest badass in the universe, this guy with this giant red skull, and I'm behind him. You know, you look at Thor, and he lost his powers as the future king, and so he has to learn something. He's down on the planet, and then he's willing to sacrifice his life for these new humans that he looked down on his whole life. And then at that point, you are behind him 100%. And he acts worthy throughout the entire movies, and it being showcased even in Age of Ultron when he's gained this level of humility. That's how he's able to still hold the hammer. Even Iron Man, like, he's a jackass at the beginning of the movie. You don't like that character. You might admire him because he's coming off as a playboy, but he's an asshole. And it isn't until he gets captured and learns humility that you as an audience member can get behind him, and you're like, okay, I'm with you. Let's go fight the big bad guy who dresses up in a big suit of armor to combat you. Just give me an example of how this character went through one of those turns that makes you get behind her by the end of the movie.
Well, I guess, again, like the way you're coming into it hot, not liking it from
And
the
again,
very
none of
beginning.
that has to do with she's a woman. None of that has to do with anything.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying it when you go into a movie and you're hating how it starts, you're not.
That's
you're-
traditional filmmaking.
Yeah, no. Just, well, let me make my point. I think the flashbacks, I thought it was just wonderful. Like, I got a lot of information from the flashbacks. You got flashbacks from where she was a kid and she was put down by her father. You got a flashback from the time that she was going to academy and she was put down.
Those are
But-
really quick flashbacks. Like, I didn't even...
But don't you think that gives you something?
To me, that would say that it's a character who doesn't believe in herself.
Right.
But
Well, like,
because she's had so many people putting her down in her life.
I could identify with that. Like,
She 100% believes in herself at the very beginning of the movie.
Okay.
So much to the point in being cocky
Okay.
and turning away Agent Fury at the beginning because
Okay.
she already knows what she's doing.
Dude,
she doesn't need any help.
Okay, compare this to the character of Rey in Star Wars. I think we got
They're
more.
exactly the same.
No, I think we got more here
Rey,
with the flashbacks.
you're introduced to this character who has these ultimate abilities. And you know, back then everyone was like, "Oh, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it." When Episode 8 comes out, we're gonna find out that she's Luke's kid, or that she was trained by Luke,
Well, you
which
do-
would add, credence to the fact that she's like super powerful. But that's never established.
But-
She's just powerful from that movie
But-
all the way
But
to the last movie.
You just said in the flashbacks you understand why she's doubting herself. So you can.
She never did. Like, okay. Like, okay, let's pretend that she was doubting herself all the way up to the point where she knocks off her little inhibitor chip. It's a chip. Like, you've had it there your whole life. You're not going to pick at it and knock it off. It took one little flashback sequence of you being like, oh, I do believe in myself. Let me pick off the chip. And then, I suddenly believe in myself. And now I got proton blast and I can destroy spaceship after spaceship after spaceship.
I think the problem...
That's not interesting when you're that powerful.
No, I think the problem is you don't like the structure of the movie. I think all the information that you need is in the film. You just don't like the way it was presented. And I understand that. Some people like a more traditional story, or the way, as you said, like episode 4, Star Wars, you see how, the character of Luke, grows.
He grows, yeah.
Right.
Growth.
Because it's traditional storytelling. But this one wasn't. This one started in the middle. We got flashbacks, and I thought it was very adult of the filmmakers to do that, because they're like, okay, you guys would understand if we present you the information this way, as opposed to just having that traditional story of having her grow up and like showing you everything. Like,
I think that's where some of the criticism of the film is coming from. Just to give backstory, you likened her to Rey before, and when Rey was first introduced in The Force Awakens,
I'm actually saying that Rey was a bad character. This one is a good character, because in Rey we don't get those flashbacks nearly as enough, and she's just...
That's true. They do add a little bit.
With Rey, she's just a normal character, and all of a sudden she has all the powers. With this one, she has the powers, and you're like, oh, how does she has the powers? And then we get flashbacks, and we understand how she got the power.
But again, that's not really explained a whole lot. Like, a ship blows up, and then all of a sudden she can do all these amazing things and have an incredible mohawk and kill everybody.
It's a Marvel movie. Like,
but
I don't.
They've all explained the backstory, like, pretty much. Like, this is the worst one.
Why are you looking for some sort of explanation for how they get these superpowers? It's a superhero movie,
but it's an origin story. We need to know.
I think it's like kind of hypocritical to say a Marvel movie doesn't follow normal
Black
steps.
Panther. You brought up Black Panther a couple times. We understand where he got his power from. He drinks that little magic juice from the flower, and he becomes super powerful. So we got to see it. We didn't get to.
No. Didn't he have the powers in the previous movie, in the in Captain America?
That's because in the background he was crushing up his flowers and drinking it.
No,
man. Yeah.
No, you
just didn't see it.
You never saw that. But
you didn't see it.
But you're not saying anything about that.
That's not an origin story. He's like a side character in Civil War.
But it was never explained how he got his powers. But you were cool with it
because it's not an origin story. He's just like a side character. Just like Spider-Man. Spider-Man showed up in Civil War. No, he did. They didn't.
Well, you got the explanation in this one. You just don't like the explanation. I like.
You like the origin story of her getting her powers.
Okay,
it was a quick flashback, by the way. It wasn't a story.
I thought it made sense. And again, when you go to a movie like this, there's a suspension of disbelief. I understand some people are like, oh, that's bullshit.
If you can fly, we've already gone far into spoiler territory, so we're just gonna go with it.
Okay.
but
she's do the
spoiler monkeys. All right, now. She is exploding spaceships by herself. If she's exploding spaceships by herself, then that means that you cannot penetrate her body with like shrapnel or bullets or any of that. How does that happen from an airplane blowing up in your face? Like, and suddenly you're impervious to bullets. Like, there's never been a character that can do that. Maybe Thor. Because in Infinity War he was blasting through those spaceships too.
But do you?
He's a god, though.
But do you hear yourself?
5 minutes later.
All right, so it's been a little bit different of an episode. We've kind of been going kind of like how you said, not in the traditional sense. It's a non-traditional format of show we're doing today. So now we're hopping into the segment where we talk nice about Captain Marvel.
Okay.
And let me just go ahead and start off, because I really am truthful about what I'm about to say. The de-aging technology on Sam Jackson really was something that took me aback. In the middle of the movie, I was looking at his face and I was like, "Oh my god!" Because I've grown up seeing the very crappy CGI in Terminator, and then transitioning to the Jurassic Park dinosaurs, and then the greatness that we had in Infinity War, and then this one is like the top, because they have taken a human who looks old now and they've made him look how he did like 30 years ago.
Yeah,
and so. And that's amazing. Then my mind was open, and I was like, think of all the other cool stuff they can do now. Like, and it is kind of scary, but
I guess when we were talking about it, like, I told you, like, you're saying this is like the worst Marvel movie. Just look at the CGI in this movie and compare it to
CGI is not a good barometer for how good a movie is.
No, I understand that. I understand that. But we were talking about the trailer for Aladdin. Look at the CGI for the genie.
It's crap.
Yeah, I'm just saying there was care taken for this movie. So this is not just something that they just wanted to push out. They actually cared about this movie. They put money into CGI, and ultimately we get a polished movie. So you might say it's a polished turd because you don't like it, but I would say I like the story.
It's a polished Thanos-sized turd, in my opinion.
But I don't know. Again, like, we can have the difference of opinion. But since we were talking about the positives, Ben Mendelsohn was in this movie.
He did all right, yeah.
And I thought he was really good. Like, he was funny. He was funnier than most characters in this film.
I so want to get back to the negatives, but we're talking positive right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought Sam Jackson did a really good acting job. I thought the other guy did a really good acting job. That other guy did another good acting job, too.
Didn't you think it was funny, some of the stuff that we found out, like how Nick Fury lost his eye? Like,
some of those things I found cheesy, but
like we were talking about Solo, and I said how I hated how they came up with backstories in Solo, like why we have the name Solo. It was like so stupid. In this one, it was weaved into the story.
It's done in a cheeky, like, tongue-in-cheek way, and that's okay. Because everyone was probably assuming, and I certainly was assuming, Sam Jackson was going to get a big old fight in this movie, and some guy was going to rip it out of his face. But no, it's with a whimper, and a cat scratches it.
Yeah, and
a Flarkin.
It was funny. It was hilarious. So you can balance things out. Yeah,
I mean, that's been Marvel's humor from the beginning. So that I'll give that a positive as well.
But I had
such a bad taste in my mouth that I couldn't laugh very much.
Objectively, you cannot say this is the worst Marvel movie. Just go back and look.
I did watch them all, but
what do you think about the Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton? Better than this movie. Okay.
I'd recommend. There's a YouTube channel out there.
He was such a pain in the ass. They recast him, and that movie didn't do so hot. We are talking about Incredible Hulk.
That's because Edward Norton is a diva, but that has nothing to do with the fact of, like, how good or bad that movie is. And I'm not saying Incredible Hulk is up there. I'm just saying Infinity War, Incredible Hulk, Captain Marvel.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion. I mean, time will tell, I'm sure, but I don't think this is a good movie. I think just as a character alone, she's very boring and not likable, and I didn't like her. And that's not an opinion that I have for a lot of movies. Like, I can find something endearing about the character, and for me to not have that with this movie, and I was so hyped up front to watch it, and it's just not something I felt. But I think we have to, at least for a moment, recognize, the similarities between this one and Wonder Woman. Both powerful women, both lovable comic book characters. Why did Wonder Woman succeed? For me, anyway, because I know that you don't feel the same as me. Why this one didn't. And the only reason that I can come up with is I think that Wonder Woman, her naivete really puts the audience behind her, on her side, and is sad for her when she finds out that the world isn't as she thought it was or how she read it was. It was different. And so you feel betrayed with Wonder Woman as she was. And again, I've already elaborated this, but I didn't feel like there was a moment like that for Captain Marvel. I felt from point A, she knew how powerful she was, what she could do. She just didn't like how people told her how to act. Okay. At the end of the movie, she's exactly the same. It's just that she said F you and then flicked off her chip and then went full beast mode.
Okay. I think you're going to like what I'm going to say. I'm going to come to your side, to the dark side. But on Rotten Tomatoes, there was a score... like the anticipation score of audience, and it was so low, it was like around 32%, that they got rid of it in Rotten Tomatoes. So they're not gonna let people put any numbers as far as how they're excited about a movie, so they put it aside. And then the movie came out, and now the audience score is at 52%, so still not a great. And I think
that's shocking to see for a Marvel movie. It's very shocking.
Yeah, and I think people should really stop saying for people who don't like a movie that they're trolls, they're sexist, racist. I think that's just like creates a divide.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because movie is such a subjective thing that even like I remember a couple of years ago, I would go watch really artsy films, and I would love it. And right now, I can't really watch one because I get bored. So like even people change their mind.
Yeah.
In a couple of years, this movie might grow on people, or more people might come out and say we don't like this. So I think that's fine. If you don't like the movie, that's fine. And if you like the movie, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I feel that my criticisms were valid. I never once said this movie's crap because she's a woman. That's stupid. But I do think as a character, though, she didn't do enough to win me over. And there's been a ton of other powerful women characters in the past Marvel movies and other movies like DC.
And again, to your point, it might be the casting. If we go back to Iron Man, when they brought Robert Downey Jr., like he brought something to the role that I don't think other actors could have brought it.
Yeah.
And he's been like a strong character throughout. I think Brie Larson might have not been the most charismatic character.
Dude, if she did come off like a female Robert Downey Jr., though, that would have been really charming and endearing.
Like, for example, like we were talking about the comedy timing in this movie and like how the jokes didn't land. Let's say, just an example, I'm a huge fan of Anna Kendrick. What if like they brought someone who's known for her comedy? And, you know, you can always create a strong character, but you can also have someone from the comedy background. But I don't think they did that. And
that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Partly that's why they're getting the backlash now. But I think ultimately you're at a good point to...
Do I think it was the worst movie of all time? No. It's just that level of excitement and fun is absent for me. And so I think initially... especially when you're comparing it within the Marvel universe, it is pretty low for me. Even worse for me, worse than Ant-Man versus the Wasp, which I also was sort of mediocre for me. This one for me is worse.
Okay.
Initially,
Okay.
I've only seen it the one time, and I like to watch movies a couple different times to get a good feel for it.
We'll see. We'll see if you watch it later and like you change your mind.
But I mean, I'm super interested about that score and how people feel about it because I haven't done a whole lot of research into it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was our review of Captain Marvel, and apologies for going off the rails a little bit, jumping over here and over there with no real format. But we appreciate you for watching it, and if you liked us or any of our past reviews,
please subscribe, and we'll be back soon with more reviews for you guys. So thank you.
Until next time, we hope to catch you again. Keep on screen watching.